All right, welcome back to another episode of Unheard. Here we are yet again. I am Verol Billett,
I'm Jason Henry.
and yeah, we're here for another episode. And thank you for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Persons have been watching, we are seeing the views, the likes, and we appreciate all of it. Just hang out with us a little bit more, just to listen, and we'd love to hear your views. So please join in with the conversation in the comment section, and I'm sure we will definitely respond to you and interact. So appreciate every single one of you who are listening, and here we are yet again. um this episode is one that I think the subject matter in general, like, it's on the lips of everybody, because it's something that as a nation we have experienced and we continue to experience in some way, shape, or form, and
Yeah,
that has to do with the passing of Hurricane Melissa, the very first Category 5 hurricane that many of us have experienced. I know for me, every time a hurricane comes our way, I reflect on the past experiences I've had with hurricanes. I was not around during Gilbert,
yeah, I missed it by a year.
right? Um, and I can recall Hurricane Ivan in September 2004. And then I can recall I was not in Jamaica when Hurricane Dean passed through or brushed in near us in 2007. That was August 2007.
Yeah, yeah,
And then there were others, or Hurricane Sandy and some others. Of course, last year there was Hurricane Beryl, and this time it was the very first Hurricane 5 direct hit. The last time we got a direct hit was in 1988 with Hurricane Gilbert, right?
mhm,
So yeah, it has been quite an experience, and I mean, nobody could really expect. I mean, we're told, oh, watch out, it's a Category 5. She was out in the waters. I know many persons were saying, sh- is she going to hit us? Is she not? The path that she was projected to hit us at, the center of our island, she skirt past underneath us, and then she went down west. And she spent a lot of time out in the waters because we were told she was going to come the week before, and homegirl didn't come until the week after. So it's a lot. So Jason, how was it for you?
yeah. I guess like most people that were in the east, in Kingston, it wasn't so bad. Some leaks. Um, yeah, honestly, it really wasn't so bad. Can't really complain too much, really. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for me, yeah, my family, everybody was fine. Nothing to really complain about. And that's on one side. I'm thankful for that, but then hearing and seeing what happened in the West, Westmoreland, Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Elizabeth. I think parts of Manchester too,
yes, yes.
parts of maybe parts of St. Anne.
Hmm.
You know, it was a lot, and then of course there were persons in the East who were significantly affected. I mean, it is a lot right now. But you know what? One of the things I really appreciate about our people, we love the country, you know. We love our country, and despite everything, there is a genuine sense of community.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mhm. That the Bob Marley song "One Love,"
Yeah.
I think we really embody that in many ways. And I think it's something that helps to keep us strong. And so we have Jamaica We Rise, and the different cheers, I guess, or positive affirmations that have sprouted since the passing of Melissa. How resilient we are
Mhm.
as a people, and just the pushing the, the fighting spirit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it also didn't take very long before we did the other thing Jamaicans do, which is not take anything seriously. So there's also that part. But I mean, I think in some respects, like it was still kind of good because it's not necessarily that you're ridiculing what happened,
Hmm.
but it's really more so finding the humor in it. But the only way to do that is to really, like, first and foremost, accept what happened.
Yeah,
So I think that the grieving process is, I think, well underway.
it's interesting you mentioned that because for me, and this is something I knew about myself for some time now, one of the ways in which I process things is through writing. And of late, I haven't done much leisure writing. Most of the writing I do tends to be for work. But I know during Melissa, I did write. I
Oh,
did some
really?
writing.
Okay.
And one of the pieces, let's see if I can find it. One of the pieces I wrote, give me a sec, it has to do with that whole, it was a reflective piece about Jamaica being seen as unserious.
Oh.
So here it is, the perception of Jamaicans being unserious, the psychology. And the main point of the piece is that it's not that we don't take things seriously, it's just a way of coping. There is benefit to finding that funny thing about it to just help us to process and cope with what it is that is happening. And let's look at our history too: slavery, colonialism, politics, all these different things. We have found different ways of just coping with. Look at COVID.
Yeah.
And so we see, yes, some of it can be dangerous. Some persons, I think, take it too far, in my opinion.
Sure.
But there's just this thing about Jamaicans finding the humor in things. Let's look at death.
Yeah.
And some people die.
Yeah.
There's people are just running jokes about different aspects of their life as a way to remember, who these people are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I don't know if you want to read everything that
No,
you
I can't read everything.
have. Okay.
Hopefully, one day you can look out and see if I eventually publish it somewhere.
Okay. Okay. But yeah, I think it's a good thing. I mean, the thing with comedy is that a lot of the times is that you're poking at something that's real,
Mhm.
but also something that's fairly sensitive. It's a way, as you said, to help cope with things, but also I think it definitely helps with processing things,
Mhm.
right? Because you still have to look at the reality of what's being said in order to process it anyway. And
Mhm.
so I think if you can laugh about it, that means that, well, okay, yeah, that's pretty funny.
Mhm.
Okay, fine. But in doing that, you acknowledge that, you know what? It's not, it wasn't serious. It was actually serious.
Mhm.
But that's exactly why you would choose to make fun of it,
Mhm.
because you wouldn't make fun of something that's true but benign. It wouldn't make sense.
Mhm.
And so ultimately, shout out to the Jamaican comedians out there.
Yeah.
You're doing the Lord's work.
I mean, because yes, the hurricane is coming, but you're outside dancing in the rain,
Or bathing.
or you're bathing, and then people doing different things. There's one video I saw with a youth climbing on top of rails. I think this is dangerous. Strong winds, waving the Jamaican flag. I mean,
Wait, was this one or the previous hurricane?
I
Because
think I saw it in the previous one and I saw it on this one
yeah,
as well.
the people be
Mm.
reusing things.
Yeah, right. And then even, and I think I think a part of what is humorous about us as Jamaicans, sometimes we say some things and we're not being humorous in that moment. We're not running joke. We're not telling a joke. But the way in which we express ourselves is just funny. If we
That is true.
if we remember some years ago,
There's many of them. Choose any of them.
Rosie.
I knew you're.
Yeah. Mhm. That became a thing. There's one.
I mean, Cliff Twang.
That's the one I was now thinking of, and nobody can cross it. Became songs. It became
He
songs.
had a career. He became a dancehall artist. Thanks to you.
Right? And then one of the things I also like about or how we our resilience and how our unity came alive, the songs that came out of it to encourage people. I mean, Chris Malachi. If you don't know who Chris Malachi is, go and search him up. Chris Malachi came out with a song recently. Uh, I think it's a nice twist, respectful twist to our national anthem. I love the sound of it. So check out Chris Malachi. Big up yourself anyway there. Ja Vinci came out with a song.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, man. Chronic Law came out with a song. And a couple other people I think came out with songs
That's
to
dope.
encourage all of us as Jamaicans and those who care and love Jamaica, which is a lot of people apparently,
Yeah.
and to help us to rebuild.
That's awesome. The Chris Malachi, he performed it. The song he performed it. Is TVJ or CVM?
Probably, I think he went on one of those morning
Shows. Yeah.
morning shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, as good as that is, I guess there's also, while you have the comedy, the music, the artistry to talk about, to approach like a very heavy topic. I think we have to kind of, call a spade in terms of like the more
Yes,
challenging stuff. But
definitely. But before we go into the
okay,
challenging stuff, I want to highlight how important the creative arts are in helping us as a people to process and work through and to represent our realities.
okay,
Right? Personally, I don't think we can leave it behind. It's something that in everything that we are doing, it has its place, a very valuable place. And we need to remember that as we rebuild.
hmm
Yeah.
okay, yeah. So I agree that is true. um, but this being a male-centric podcast, there was a topic that
Yeah.
was suggested to us. Shout out Shalika. You gave us the idea, and I thought that it was something that was very very timely. Obviously because of the hurricane, but just in terms of just like masculinity itself,
Hmm.
it was something that I think maybe was already a little bit threatened, but with the hurricane, it then became even more pronounced. And that is the ability to be that protector, provider
Mm.
in the wake of destruction,
Mm.
right? And basically how to cope, how to manage, how to still be a man and be masculine, or even just be yourself and fulfill the roles that you've either come to expect to play or the roles that you feel like, yo, but this is me. I want to perform this role.
This is what you have to do. You see yourself. This is a have to.
Yeah.
You know. And no, I get you when you say that because um, I know for a fact there are many persons. Everything is gone,
Mm.
and for you now, you're here, and yes, I've heard persons say, "Well, I have life,"
Yeah.
which I think does is a
It's a start.
representation of hope,
Yeah, it's a
right?
start, definitely.
But at the same time, everything gone. My entire life work.
Mm.
Melissa can't with it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I have dependents. What do I do now?
Mm.
You know? I have to now depend on people.
Yes,
Mm.
there's a certain grief there. There might even be a certain shame there,
Mm.
despite the fact that, okay, yeah, but dude, look how much people have the same exact problem. But the irony is that you're still thinking about you, which is kind of ironic, isn't it?
Well, I think a part of it, yes, I would like to say that, yes, sure, you have persons who are in the me mindset, but I also think too that there are persons who, yes, it's me, but I'm also thinking about the we, like,
Yes, yes.
right? And I think a part of that thinking of the we is, as a man, I can't just think about myself. I have to think about the people I care about too.
Mm.
And in doing that, as a provider part, but the way in which you can now provide is very,
Limited.
I don't feel, yeah, it's very
Yeah.
limited.
Because the thing is, like, I agree with what you're saying, but I think the reason I kind of angled it in a more like individual way was because, like, there's that sense of identity, right?
Mm,
So it's not necessarily that there isn't a we that the man or men would be thinking about in terms of what they're doing and their contribution to society that affects other people. But I think it also has to do with just like, what am I gonna do with myself,
mm,
right? So am I supposed to? Because the irony of the situation is a lot of people, for better and for worse, they look at the external circumstances of their life and they use that to kind of define who they are. When that mistake is made, I mean, don't get it twisted. Sometimes you're in a very great situation, and so you can define yourself very easily based on the greatness of your situation. But in the context where the situation is not great, how would you then define yourself? Some people, I think, would be like, okay, I guess this is what it has now come to. And there becomes there what begins is a sense of depression, desperation, even isolation, despite the fact that there are other people who are also suffering, they're also struggling, they're also in pain. But then there, as we were mentioning before, there are some people who, they're making light of it. They're trying to play with the situation,
mhm,
right? Not because they're trying to avoid it per se. Sure, you have those people too, but it's because they're acknowledging the reality, but they've made a decision to not let their circumstances define who they are. And I think that that is an extremely powerful thing and a necessary thing.
I hear what you're saying, and I see it. I get what you're saying, but I'm thinking about possibly what the reality is in this current moment.
Mm.
I'm wondering to I'm wondering in real terms how many people are even at that point, because I think that right now, if we're thinking about what happened and the amount of loss that took place, the intentional emotional processing,
Mm.
I don't think that much of that is really happening. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
Mm.
I don't think it's at the forefront right now. If we think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Mm.
I think the persons are more focused on food, clothing, shelter. So the basic needs, the physiological needs, and the safety needs,
Mm.
feeling secure again.
Mm.
And I think a lot of that, if we're thinking about men and masculinity, I think that's where the focus is. How can I now regain a sense of, um, a sense of the ability to provide and protect for these persons? So therefore, the putting myself on the back burner,
Mhm.
right? yes, things are happening because I'm not saying the emotional part, the emotional stuff not happening, Man, woman, boy, child, dog, animal, bird, whatever it is, it's all there. But consciously, I don't have a roof, I don't have a house, I have children. Right? My children are hungry. There's no work. I'm a farmer. Melissa take out all of my crop them. What me gonna do now? I have a shop. Me did have a shop. There's no shop anymore. Right? I had to go to a shelter. There's no money. Right? I probably have money in the bank, but I have no cash. There's no bank around. Right? So there is okay, what do I do now? What do I do now? And that's why I say, the idea of depending on people, which you mentioned shame and guilt. Did I do enough to prepare my family? If me didn't know, when would I have gone to another parish or go link some family elsewhere or put the money in a different space? I don't know. Mhm. And then the infrastructure around, not just buildings, but the roads are in some spaces are non-existent. My car, I used to run taxi. There's no car anymore. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would imagine that as a man in that type of reality now, I feel helpless.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Which is exactly why the point right now would have to be depending on people.
Yeah.
But when, and I think for some men, it's like they'll be able to kind of just like look at the situation and say, it is what it is. And the truth of the matter is, I have to depend on people right now. It's not like I was doing this before. I'm doing it now because the situation actually calls for me to do it now. But then for others, there will be a challenge in terms of like, but this is not me. I'm the one
Yeah.
who gives. And
Yeah.
so because their identity is a giver, right? To be the one who is now getting or receiving the charity, so to speak, they then look at it like,
And this will come to.
right, which is not true. This isn't what you've come to. This is just a situation right now.
So I'm going to understand then that the point you're ultimately making is, though this is the situation now, having re-examining that sense of self becomes important to help you to propel yourself forward.
Yeah. Because the thing about it is, if, again, as I was saying before, if you look at those external circumstances, okay, the house is gone. I mean, we can actually look at Jamaica from space. It's not green anymore. Half of it is brown.
I haven't looked.
Don't look. It's sad, right? But that's the thing. It's like half of it is just brown. Um, and I've seen some of the other videos where it's like you're looking at lush greenery and you see the little homes here and there, right? And then you see just desolation. You knew what was there before. You know what's there now, right? And we know that, on God's planet Earth, you know that, okay, well, ultimately things are gonna grow back. That greenery will return. This is not the first time that I would say earthquake to write it, but yeah, a hurricane comes through. Yeah, we've had earthquakes
We
too.
are on a fault line.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah. But the point
All right now.
is, the point is when we have suffered in the past, people came through it. So we know we have the strength to rebuild, and I feel like a lot of the times when things fall apart, we forget the strength that we had that was required in order to build in the first place.
I'm just thinking, reflecting on what you just said, and I think yeah, some persons may falter, but I think a large part of us would just do because I'm looking at the roads that were blocked, right? And so on and so forth, the different challenges. And I saw where men just got up and started doing, helping, doing what they could to help. And I think that is the fighting spirit that many of us have.
Yeah.
When things happen, when disasters strike, we try our best to do something to help ourselves, but that has limitations.
Yes.
So what you just said kind of caused me to pause and think about, okay, but how much do we have that inside of us? How long can we go?
Mm.
Because at some point,
I
if
mean,
we don't get,
weakness will become a factor. I mean,
if we
there
don't,
is a food insecurity thing right now. So there's
Mhm,
only so much you can lift. There's only so much you can push. There's only
mhm,
so much you can sweep.
right. And so the question comes, because I think that's what Cilliers' model of stress. When stressor occurs, when you rise to meet it and you go until if the stressor doesn't die down or you don't master the situation and the stressor continues, you crash,
Mm.
right? And so I'm wondering, okay, how will that play out? And that's concerning because that crash can look different ways for many people because it can mean, all right, death,
Mhm.
one.
Yeah.
Two, all right, peace out. Y'all on your own. We can't do this no more. Right?
Mhm.
Or it may be just withdrawing, isolating, or it can look like anger, like significant anger being
The love language of rage. There we go
yeah.
again. Yeah.
Right. So I think as we continue, we have to be careful of this too. And that's where the psychosocial interventions would be necessary
Mhm.
to help to provide the various coping mechanisms that will be helping us to go on for much longer. Because
Mhm.
this not gonna done next week or next month or this is going to go on for a while. And what that means is all of us as Jamaicans have to help each other.
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Um, I think also, um, I guess kind of like bringing it back to the East. I've spoken to a couple of people about like survivor's guilt.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Um, and so what I tell people is basically like, look, you have empathy, you have compassion for your fellow Jamaicans. That makes sense. But and there was a woman that expressed it really well. It's like, but having this much empathy and watching the videos so you know what's going on in the country, so you feel connected to the country and connected to the people who are suffering, it gets exhausting.
Mm-hmm.
And so when that fatigue kicks in, but then it's like, no, but I still need to know, I still need to know. Then there now you're really stretching all of your resources, right? And so what I tell people is like, don't forget to pair the empathy and the compassion with gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because ultimately, if you have gratitude for what you have, you can then remember, okay, well, I know that I have these resources, whether it's physical resources, monetary resources, food resources, clothes
Mm-hmm.
resources, links resources, whatever kind of resources, and I can use these to help people.
Mm-hmm.
But you're never going to think about that if you're constantly just solely in empathy,
Mm-hmm.
solely in compassion, as good as those things are.
All right. I really like that. But sometimes listening to the various narratives around the space, it begs me to question, are these people feeling empathetic or are they feeling sympathetic?
Mm. I think some are one and some are the other.
Mm. The reason,
And I think some are just kind of doing a more trauma porn kind of thing.
because the reason I went there is because feeling sympathetic here, feeling sorry for somebody, and you're pushing to do something to quell that sympathy, that guilt, or whatnot.
Okay.
Right? And it may not be properly thought out. It can lead to impulsive actions too.
Mm. Okay.
Versus empathy. You've put yourself in somebody's position and you say, okay, what can I do? There's a level of, I think, thought that goes into it, right? But there's also a level of awareness that this is not your reality. This is somebody else's reality that you are seeing, and as a human being, you can see that they're in pain and you're there with them, but you know it's not yours, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And so I think we need to be careful of that too. Stay in the line, in the parallels of, in the shoes of empathy, rather than immersing yourself in sympathy,
Mm.
right? Because if that gets, in my opinion, it gets tiring,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
It gets. I'm not saying as a you being empathetic can be tiring,
Mm.
but you get bogged down,
Yeah.
right? Because um, as psychologists, we are empathetic people,
Sure.
but we also know that self care is also important,
Absolutely.
right? And so you know what your limits are. You know what you know when to go in. You know when to pull back,
Mm-hmm.
right? But if we ever step into the space of sympathy,
Mm.
you know how dangerous that can be.
How dangerous?
Very dangerous,
Okay.
because you will go and want to save everybody, and you're taking everything on and
Mm.
and
I appreciate your distinction of the sympathy and the empathy. I think it was a little different than mine, but I think yeah, I still share the sentiment in that yeah, I think when people's like personal boundaries, emotional boundaries, they
Mhm.
violate them. They
Mhm.
violate their own boundaries, and they then kind of get lost in all of this spiral downward.
Mhm.
And then to pull themselves out of it is like no, it's difficult because the guilt really is going to be difficult to get yourself out of
Very,
that.
very
No,
difficult.
so yeah, I agree with that.
Very, very difficult. And so we have to be careful of that, because the other thing too, you don't want it to be about you. If you're helping somebody, it's not about you. It's about the person you're helping. And so we have to be careful that we observe and we listen so that we can offer the right help within our limits.
Absolutely, yeah.
Within our limits.
Because it don't make sense. There's a Jamaican proverb, but I have to use a bad word to say it, so I'm not going to. But the point is, it don't make sense that you give to the point where now you lack, and now
Mm,
you have to ask. No, like care about yourself the same way you care about people.
yeah. Yeah, it's important. I mean, we want persons to help, and they do appreciate the help. We need to remember that these people are people, human beings. That is never diminished, right? And in our giving, we need to remember that dignity, the human dignity remains.
Yes. Yes.
Mhm.
So I think, like, all right. So moving from the people in the east, coming back to the people in the west, men in the west. Um, so like, how can they like demonstrate that strength, that resilience right now for their families, for their friends, for themselves? I think one of the things that we have to look at is just like, okay, look at what you have. Okay, we don't have as much as we did, right? So the strength wouldn't necessarily be about lifting up this thing or going to your 9 to 5 or um you know, I don't know, sports day or any other typical kind of things. I think the strength that you're gonna have to show right now as a man, as a woman too, technically yes, but I guess more men. It's a male-centered podcast, so I said for men. But I think the strength for men right now is showing that confidence that everything going to be all right.
May I add to that?
Yeah, man.
Without denying
The
the
reality.
realities
Yeah,
of what is happening with you.
right. So what I'm really trying to get at is maybe once upon a time or in certain contexts, it would be about I need to control this, I need to control that. Going back to what you literally just said, you have to acknowledge the reality that you are not in control. You lack control. Just like you lacked control in terms of what happened in the hurricane, you're lacking control in terms of what's happening right now. You have a little bit more control now. You do in terms of, okay,
For
where did we
self.
go? For self, yes. But I think also in terms of like the rebuilding,
Mhm.
okay, what resources are we going to use? What am I going to build next? That kind of thing. So you definitely will have all of that to consider for real. But before the relief comes in, and I know it has already started to come in, but as it is approaching, as it is coming, I think the best thing you can do as a man to show that strength, to show that masculine strength, is to be like, look, we're going to be all right. We're going to be fine. Right now, we go. It's not fun and it's not pleasurable, but it's not gonna change me as an individual. I keep going back to this self-concept thing because I
Mhm.
can't help it. Because it's so easy to
Mhm.
look at what you have and you have a sense of self based on what you have,
Mhm.
and then you lose this, and then you realize for the first time in your life how much your possessions have defined you.
Mhm.
I know you get the opportunity. It's a strange opportunity. This is not the kind of opportunity you'd want, but you get the opportunity to kind of be like, look, I am not going to use the externals to
Mhm.
define who I am. So now I realize, maybe for the first time ever,
Mhm.
I'm me decide
How?
how I'm going to react. Is me decide who I'm going to be. And
Mhm.
so, as painful as an experience as this is, I think that's an exceedingly powerful moment.
And I think that another way in which, as men, we can, rally to, we can exercise a particular, tap into a particular strength, is that not just the individual strength, but the community strength.
Absolutely.
Coming together as men to say, all right, the reliefs are coming in. It's not a every man for themselves type of mentality. Because right now, we need each other. We need each other, right? Um, and as a result of that, all right, this is what you need. This is what you need. How can we come together to support each other? You mentioned recognizing what you do have. So somebody's, if somebody in the community by some miracle still have a stove, a working
Mm,
stove with gas, you know,
mm,
then all right, and somebody has water store up, water truck. I know some communities having trouble getting water trucks into their communities. Some communities are still inaccessible and so on. But if somebody has stored up water that is safe to use, all right, at least 2 day a week we can run a boat or something, or boil some hot water so everybody can drink some tea, right?
yeah,
That community if possible, work a fire, build up a fire or something,
yeah,
right? That sense of community togetherness, it would also be very, very helpful,
yeah.
and men have their space in that, I think.
Yes, yes.
Because the rebuilding is going to go on for a while, and again, I think this reinforces what you've been saying, Jason. Yes, the physical possessions are gone in many cases,
Mhm,
but you still have your talents.
mhm.
Sometimes you probably have to go revisit some talents that you've long forgotten,
Yeah,
right? Or it may be an opportunity in a weird way to go and learn something new. You're never too old to learn.
yeah. Actually, you said something a while ago that kind of took me in a different direction, slightly different direction. Um, But there would have been elders in the community that would have gone through Gilbert, gone through Ivan, gone through Dean, or gone through Verol. Um, these men have wisdom.
Mhm.
They've gone through disaster.
Mhm.
These are the men that the community will definitely have to lean on in terms of just being like, look, we're going to make it.
Mhm.
And there are things that we're going to have to do for now to try and like kind of ease the burden, ease the pain in the community. But that don't mean we can't still play. That don't mean we still can't have fun. That don't mean that we still can't sing and dance and them kind of thing. Because the truth of the matter is that that's something that was always human, and you still are very much that.
Very much so. Very much so. Mm. So, with all that is going on, there is hope. I think for me, seeing that or hearing that in its various forms, we rise. We're resilient. Our spirit's not broken. Um, you know, I have life or we have life. That for me says a whole lot, and it's weirdly comforting that things will get better. Mm, Things will get better. But I think there are a lot of lessons to learn too from this experience. There are a lot of lessons to learn in terms of, because again, we have never been through something like this. And so I hope the powers that be are paying keen attention and documenting and whatever. I know persons will probably doing research on things related to this era, right? And we take heed and we build properly, we rebuild properly. It's sad that a number of historical monuments and stuff
Yeah,
were destroyed.
yeah,
Um, but again, we rise.
yeah, yeah. So, all right. So, like in the moment, you have any coping tips for the people then?
Never leave out connection. Connection is very important. So connecting with your neighbors, connecting with family members, being kind to self, being present as much as possible. Grounding is so important right now. Touching the earth, um, taking note of what's happening around you, being present with self, being present with others. The typical 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Pretty much, if I'm supposed to recommend um, coping mechanisms for all of Jamaica, because I think all of us need it.
Tough it out and build.
The Tough It Out and Build skills, check them out on our YouTube page. You'll find them there. And there's something there for everybody. The Tough It Out and Build skills, guys, from pitney to adult, it is very, very useful. These skills are very, very important. Also, on our on the KAHLEjourney.org website, KAHLEjourney.org, there's a blog post about emotion regulation.
Well, as you look for that, yeah, I mean, it's literally like it's a model on community resiliency, which is exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to build resilient communities, not because bad things don't happen, but because they do. Not because challenging things don't happen, but because they do. And so the fact of the matter is that if we can approach these things well, we can actually take the lessons from it and we move on in strength.
So actually, there are two articles, blog posts actually that I think would be very, very useful for persons to read. They're not long readers, guys. So the first one was the title of it, Why is Motion Regulation Talked About So Much? And this was published on October 3. So before Melissa.
This year.
This year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We put I wrote it.
Oh,
Right?
cool.
Mhm. And I can tell you, and there is actually we call it a chart. We have the tough out and build skills mentioned
Mm.
there, but we also have a feelings chart that
Okay.
has, I guess, the patois sayings that we can
Mm.
all use
With the facial
with the
expressions.
facial expressions. And then there's another post which was posted on October 10, World Mental Health Day.
Okay.
World Mental Health Day 2025, access to services, mental health in catastrophes and emergencies.
So you didn't know?
All right. Yeah, this, check it out.
Mm.
Check it out. And there's also some in the article it mentions Ubuntu,
Okay.
right?
Cool.
Which means I am because we are.
Mhm.
And I think that encapsulates what is happening right now. We all need to care for each other.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do what you can. Not everybody can do the same thing. Not everybody can do the same thing in the same amount. No matter what, there's always something everybody can do.
Yeah.
Right. Children are displaced. There are no schools in a lot of spaces. Um, Life as we all know it is not the same. I don't care where we are in Jamaica, outside of Jamaica. If you're a Jamaican, life is not the same.
Mhm. Do I have any other things to add? I mean, I guess, speaking of the grounding, the various different types, whether these are breathing techniques or anchoring, like literally anchoring into the ground. Um, the cognitive restructuring in terms of what we were talking about before, in terms of um the like questioning your ability, moving from that and then moving instead to knowing and embodying that you can overcome, you can continue to live, thrive even, you know um it's a good opportunity to like redefine yourself into what you would want to be, what you would decide to be. And I know that a lot of people might say, well, it's easy for you guys to say that because the hurricane never hit you guys so hard. But the truth of the matter is, if it did, that's exactly what we would have to do. We wouldn't really have a choice. We're not gonna say, "Oh well, we just have time to just throw it all away." We can't do that.
And I can understand that perspective, but let's also think about the fact that though it we on this side of the island we didn't get that direct hit. Excuse me, we didn't get that direct hit, but there are emotional scars there too.
That is fair.
There
That
are
is fair.
emotional scars too. So, and it's not. I don't want to get into the business of comparing who has
That
it
was the next
worse.
thing. Yeah, I don't
I
want to
don't
get
want
into
to do
the
that,
oh yes,
right?
my suffering Olympics thing, gold medal. No, yeah, we
No,
don't need to do that.
right? The focus right now is to help those persons who have been impacted severely because they need that support. And that's it. But it also means for everybody else who have had that emotional reaction, or right,
Mhm,
take care of yourself too.
mhm.
So it's not either or. All our way
Yeah.
need to take care of ourselves as much as we can and support each other as much as we can.
Yeah. Because I think the various roles that we've been playing, like if you were a teacher, you still have to teach, right? If you're a jokes man, you still have to make jokes. If you're a cook, you still go and cook, right? It's just, yeah, some of these resources might be harder to get, but you can't deny who you are. And this is part of why not just like us in the East, but also people from other countries, they're willing and very eager to want to actually like, yo, let's get Jamaica back to business.
I can honestly say that I was surprised
Me too.
with
Yeah.
the international response.
Probably shouldn't have been, in hindsight.
I
People really
mean,
like us.
I that's more than like that's love, right? And I appreciate it. But I think why I was surprised is because I never actually thought about that.
Mm.
Right? I thought, okay, we get hit, I just have to pick up the pieces,
Yeah.
right?
It's the breadbasket of Jamaica, though. Yeah.
And was Saint Elizabeth. Some persons in Saint Elizabeth, some persons haven't even recovered from burial last year.
Yeah. Facts.
Right? We have Westmoreland, Saint Elizabeth, roofs and places, and not Saint Elizabeth, Saint James. Well, basically all of that side,
Yeah.
all of that side, right?
Northwest, southwest,
Right.
west, west.
So we need to, we just need to be human. And I was saying that I appreciate all the help from all over, but there's lots to do. I don't think we can say, oh, there's going to be too much help.
Mhm.
There is lots to do going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So I guess how would we summarize all of this? I guess it would maybe be something like, you know, you go through the storm, but eventually
You rise.
we rise. We rise.
I mean, what I would say is like, Melissa came to her thing. It's not time for us to show that we will not be defined by Melissa's damages,
Yeah.
but we will be defined by our Jamaican spirit. All that there is to that.
Yeah. But it's also funny. Like, like how a lot of the times, yeah, every year there's always something brewing in the Atlantic and then it comes into the Caribbean Sea, right? And a lot of the times is like, oh, that not gonna reach. That kind of thing.
But that has
And a lot of the times it kind of doesn't reach.
most
And
of
it's
the
not
times they just go under
right
or
over
we get the
whatever.
rains.
Get rain. We don't even get the wind. You know what I'm saying? Haiti unfortunately gets a lot of it.
Hmm.
Right? We have to say that.
Um,
Have to just be honest about that.
so Haiti or residents up in Cuba,
Yeah.
Cuba got
Cuba
hit.
got it too. Yeah.
Right.
And so I think, you know, this was like the time where it was like, oh, this wasn't a joke this time. Like it actually
Yeah.
did hit. And so I think a lot of people are now like very sober minded. Like when hurricane season hits next year, people are going to remember and people are gonna be like more careful, more cautious. Um I hope that we build in safer places because some of the videos you see is like Jano, like them really said it was okay to build that. So like you kind of feel that way because it's like that's a very precarious place. But at the same time, it's like, well, I don't know.
But that's
People need somewhere to live, and
people need
people
somewhere to
trying
live.
people just trying their best,
Mm,
you know. But it does sober you up, and it kind of does remind you of like, all right, yo, biblical thing, building that house on a rock versus the sand type of thing
mhm.
is like, look. So when that challenge comes, you definitely have the the security of knowing that yeah the structure is sound, but even in terms of just like that physical structure, I think also like that psychological structure, knowing that yo I have it, I'm resolute, I will ask for help when I need it, and I will
Mhm.
give help when I can.
Yeah.
And I think if you have that,
Hmm.
yeah, go far.
Definitely. I think personally, I think it starts with self. It starts with everything starts with self. Take care of yourself. You can help to take care of others, take care of your environment, take care of your home, all of that stuff. So I know right now it's about okay, making sure that I'm good. I have food, clothing, shelter, all the basic needs. I'm safe. I have resources. Da da da. But don't forget yourself. Yeah, mental, your mental health. Don't forget it. It's important. Yeah. All right, guys. I like this conversation.
It was a tough conversation
Right.
because for me, I know I definitely didn't want to come off as insensitive. That was my thing, but
Mhm.
I feel like they're just very. heavy truths, sometimes like difficult mindsets to overcome, and
I
just the
think
overwhelm, I think.
I think that I wasn't worried about being insensitive. I think knowing what we know, seeing what we've seen, um, I think we we're able to phrase things or frame things in a very healthy way. But guys, let us know. Leave some comments. Give us your thoughts. Let us know. I know we are involved. Dr. KD Morgan and Associates and KAHLE Journey. We are involved in various efforts to help our brothers and sisters in the significantly affected parishes. Let us know how you are helping out, what you've been doing, or what will continue to do, or what you want to do. Um, as I said earlier, there's something there for everybody. You share your thoughts and your opinions, and we love to hear them. How was it for you with the passing of Hurricane Melissa? Let us know. All right. Until next time, I'm Verol.
I'm Jason.
We're again from Dr. Katie Morgan and Associates / KAHLE Journey. Speak up on yourself. We appreciate all of you. Enough love.